So as crazy as it might sound to say that we are already in the spring real estate market in Northern Virginia when it is the middle of February, we well and truly are seeing that we are. So I want to take some time and look back at our January data and figures to give you an idea of what we're seeing from the seller side of the transaction, what we're seeing buyers' experiences being right now in the market, and to interpret for you our hyper-local market. Because if there is one thing that you need to understand as you're making these major financial decisions around real estate, it's that real estate is a hyper-local market. So what you might be reading or hearing from a national level, more than likely the story in Northern Virginia is going to be just a little bit different, if not a lot different than what you might be reading. So our job as educators is to bring you all of the information to help you make the most sound financial decisions when it comes to our market here in Northern Virginia. Now, we track a lot of metrics and we do this very consistently to be able to guide our clients, but of all the things that we track, the number one thing that we want to be keeping a very close eye on is our inventory levels across Northern Virginia. Now, inventory or our supply is defined as if no other home hit the market, how long would it take for us to be out of homes for buyers to buy? That is the definition of supply or inventory. So keeping that definition in mind, in Fairfax County, as of the end of January, we had 0.65 months of inventory, which means that if everybody in Fairfax County decided to stop listing their house who was planning to, we would be out of homes for buyers to buy in just over 2 weeks. Now, let's look at this in the context of a longer period of time, okay? In December, when we ran these numbers, we were at 0.73 months of inventory. So our inventory level has come down in January compared to December. Now, if we look at this over time, a neutral market is considered 6 to 7 months of inventory. Neutral meaning it's neither a buyer nor a seller's market. In 2008, which is what everybody in these last few months have worried is coming again for the housing market, in 2008 we had 11 months of inventory across the country. That is firmly in a buyer's market. Don't forget, 6 to 7 months is neutral. Anything over 7 is buyers. Anything under 6 is sellers. And it just depends where you are in a seller's market to see what sort of level of competition, whether prices are going to continue to go up. So here we are with less than 1 month of inventory in Fairfax County. And not only do we have less than 1 month of inventory, when we look at this compared to December, we're actually going down, which would indicate that the market is getting tighter and it's getting more competitive. Now in Loudoun County, as of the end of January, we have 0.76 months of inventory, which is up just a touch from December. In December, we had 0.71 months of inventory. Now, let's talk about this in terms of the larger picture of what we're seeing happen around the country. In some areas, we absolutely have seen the market slow much more. It's feeling more like a buyer's market because things are sitting on the market for longer. There might be price reductions. And I'm not telling you that every single house in Northern Virginia is flying off the market in a matter of hours. But what these numbers tell us is right now we still have extremely strong buyer demand in Northern Virginia. When there's not enough of a product for somebody to buy, prices will more than likely continue to go up. At worst, they might remain a little bit flat, but we're not seeing anything that would indicate that our pricing in Northern Virginia, that we're gonna see any depreciation. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with how this might feel in terms of the market is that in 2022, in both Loudoun and Fairfax County, we hit our 10-year all-time lows with our inventory. So right now, yes, we've seen inventory increase from 2022, but this is all relative because at the beginning of 2022, we basically had no homes for people to buy. So it's important to keep all of this in context so that you can get a very good gauge of what is actually happening here, as opposed to looking at headlines that might be doing more to terrify than to clarify for you what's going on. Now, if we talk about what we're seeing as agents out in the field, obviously we have the good fortune of being able to see things from the buyer's perspective and the seller's perspective with multiple people in multiple locations to be able to give context of what we're seeing across Northern Virginia as a whole. And what I can say is that homes that are priced correctly and presented to the market correctly, a lot of our buyers are finding themselves competing for these properties. We have been in situations, more than one, over these last few weeks where prices have escalated, where contingencies have been waived. There have been 10, 12, 14 offers on some of these properties. Now, I'm not saying that that's happening with every single house in Northern Virginia. It didn't happen with every single house in Northern Virginia in 2022 either. But for the most part, things that are priced well and in decent condition are moving very quickly, and we definitely are seeing multiple offers and waived contingencies again. From the buyer's perspective, what does that mean? It means that you're gonna have to be really, really prepared in order to move quickly should you need to move quickly. You need to have a very good gauge of what you're looking for so that when you find it, you know. And you have to be in a position to put forth as aggressive an offer as you feel comfortable with within reason. And this really comes down to the strategy the strategy discussions that you should be having with your agent, over time leading up to finding that house. Now, from the selling side or listing side of things, it is very important if you're going to be selling your house in 2023 to realize that to take true advantage if we are going to find ourselves in a lot of multiple offer situations in Northern Virginia, that does not happen just by sticking a sign in the front yard and throwing it in the MLS. So for you to take full advantage of the market that we might be seeing over these coming months, it is going to be extremely important for you to have intention and strategy around how you go on the market, meaning how is it prepared? How is it priced? How is it presented overall to the marketplace? Because all of those things make a drastic difference in the amount of attraction that you're going to get in terms of the foot traffic through your house. And you need foot traffic through your house in order to create these competitive multiple offer situations. So make sure that you're taking the time, that you're getting the right advice on where your time and money and effort should be being spent in how the house is prepared, and realize that this market is looking very positive for you, but there's still going to be a little bit of legwork in order for you to be able to take full advantage of that. So the summary for this month across Fairfax and Loudoun County is that we are seeing a very healthy market. We are seeing no signs of depreciation. We're seeing the spring market really hit early, which has a few probably reasons behind it. One, this low inventory and pent-up buyer demand from last year as people were kind of waiting to see what was happening with interest rates. Our mild winter, no snow, that sometimes does pull forward our spring timeline. If you are going to be selling and you have a flexible timeline, don't think that April and May are the only times that you can list your house. People do very, very well by hitting the early spring market when all the buyers are already out in full force and all the spring listings haven't hit. So keep that in mind if you're going to be selling. And again, if you're going to be purchasing, we're having buyers have success. It is not an impossible market, but you do have to be prepared and you do have to have a plan. And that requires a little bit of strategy with your agent. So just make sure that you're prepared to make educated decisions and you'll be just fine.